Yo, what's poppin' Pokepals? Rare Boy here, and I'm back with another impossible Pokemon challenge. Today we're going to find out if it's possible to beat Pokemon Fire Red using only a Spewpa. The reason why I chose Spewpa is because it is one of the few Bug-type Pokemon that has the most restrictive movesets, only learning like 9 moves. In fact, its moveset is so bad, I can already tell you all that we can't defeat Ghost-type Pokemon because we only have Poison Powder and Normal-type attacking moves, both of which the Gengar line is immune to, so we'll do our best to make it to Agatha this run, but I doubt we'll be able to beat her. Before we can even begin our challenge, I first need to import Scatterbug and Spewpa sprites into our version of Pokemon Fire Red. Once the sprites are in the game, I then need to edit the game's internal data, so this once empty data now functions exactly like a Scatterbug and a Spewpa would. I code in their typing, base stats, and other essentials, so this empty data functions exactly like these Pokemon would. Now that our Scatterbug and Spewpa are in our game, let's review the rules of the run. The first rule is that I'm only allowed to use Scatterbug and Spewpa in battle. We are allowed to capture other Pokemon for HM usage, but they cannot assist these little guys by any other means. The second rule is that I'm not allowed to use items in battle. Held items such as leftovers are okay, but items such as X items or Hyper Potions are banned until the battle has ended. And finally, no glitches or exploits will be used to complete this game. It's just a normal playthrough of Pokemon Fire Red, but with some Kalos bugs. With the rules explained and our little bugs in game, let's jump into some gameplay. The first thing that I do is pick up our Scatterbug from Professor Oak's lab. For this run I replace Bulbasaur, so our rival takes Charmander for even more of a challenge. I nickname our little worm Zyrtec because all Spewpa does is spread allergens. I soft reset it to get a specific nature, being careful, which raises our special defense in exchange for special attack, and I'll explain why later in the run, but for now, all you need to know is that it's important. With Zyrtec on the team though, it's time to conquer the Kanto region. After training on our Kanto cousins Caterpies for HP EVs, our Scatterbug reaches level 9 and evolves into Spewpa. That was really quick. Okay, so here we are at level 15, and I know what you're thinking. What's so special about level 15? Well, we just learned Iron Defense, which is the last move we can learn for the entirety of the run. That's right, this horrendous moveset, which is on your screen right now, will be our final moveset, so get used to it. I'm going to take on Brock now and see how it goes. So, let's talk about Brock's fight and the strategy I intend on implementing for the run. We start things off with Poison Powder as it deals fixed damage to all non-poison type Pokemon. From there, I max out my defense with Iron Defense to make myself as physically bulky as possible, and alternate between Protect and Tackle to help whittle down our opponents faster. That's it. That's why I wanted a careful nature for Spewpa, so I can max out my HP and special defense EVs to be as tanky as possible and hopefully survive long enough to defeat all of the Pokemon in the game with just Poison Powder. This is essentially a Poison Powder only run, but with the aid of Tackle for immune opponents. The only way to make this strategy better is with leftovers, but we won't see that until mid-game, so let's just hope we can survive that long to see if it's enough. Brock's fight goes according to plan, but eventually trainers will start using healing items, which will become problematic, but we will cross that bridge when we get to it. So, I tried our rival Morty at Nugget Bridge, and it's not looking good. First of all, Pidgeotto has Sand Attack, and Charmander just obliterates us with Ember. I know I always choose the hardest rival, but I think I should have went with Bulbasaur on this one. I got Spewpa up to level 30 and tried Misty, and it started off wonderfully against Staryu, but Starmie hit the field and the fight was over. We take way too much damage from Water Pulse and get confused. I am not going to enjoy this challenge, I'll tell you that right now. At level 40, I took on our rival again, and this fight came down to the wire. Again, thanks to accuracy drops, we couldn't land a few Poison Powders on Charmander, and thus we took too many hits from Ember before we could start protecting ourselves. Once we did get Charmander down though, Morty sent an Abra, and knowing it has Synchronize, I didn't poison it and instead took this time to max out my defense and take it out with Tackle. Last was Rattata, who took us down to Red Bar before we could take him out. Ridiculously close for no reason. After speaking with Bill, I took on Misty again, and Staryu was an absolute pain this time around, as he was stalling us out with recovers and Super Potion, but we eventually got him down. Starmie, for some odd reason, never healed once, which I thought Misty would have prioritized over Staryu, but I guess not. Miraculously, we also don't get confused once, despite being assaulted by water pulses in this fight, so we're able to take down Starmie successfully. Another rival fight on the SSN, and we had some terrible luck in this fight. First of all, Pidgeotto again is being a troll with Sand Attack. When I finally get him down, Charmeleon comes in and burns us off the rip with an Ember, and our Shed Skin ability does not cure us until we're like one hit away from death, so this fight went horribly wrong, so you know what that means? Level up time! Yay! At level 55, I decided to just tackle his whole team and not set up my strategy, as we are a high enough level to do so. It pays off as we 1 or 2 shot all of his Pokemon, but you wouldn't believe how many times we missed tackle because of one smokescreen from Charmeleon. The only issue we had in Surge's fight was Raichu, as it spammed double teams, got healed from poison with full heals, and kept paralyzing us with Thunder Waves. Thankfully, our Shed Skin helped us keep healthy, and we bypassed the evasion boost for the knockout. At level 68, I tried my luck at Giovanni, and my Iron Defense and Poison Powder strat handled his team nicely. Also, for some reason, I had a mini heart attack and didn't know if I was recording my gameplay footage or not, so you can see me pull up my screen capture settings in this match, so that's why that little pop-up appears in the bottom of your screen. I decided now would be a good time to take on Erica. I know she likes to inflict status conditions on her opponent, but thankfully we have the ability Shed Skin, so we can continuously heal off any status conditions, and Iron Defense protected us from physical moves, which Erica was forced to use as all grass moves are special in Generation 3. Our rival fight at Pokemon Tower was very interesting. I poisoned Pidgeotto turn 1 and tried to max out my defenses with Iron Defense, as Pidgeotto whirlwinded out my Cut and Fly user. I immediately switched to him and started setting up again as we were blown away again. Finally, Pidgeotto succumbed to its poison and Charmeleon came in. I poisoned him right away as well, and I can finally set up my Iron Defenses, but we get an accuracy drop from Charmeleon's Smokescreen before he goes down. Thanks to the Smokescreen, we missed like 7 poison powders on the rest of his team, but it was actually good that we kept missing because we were able to stall out Execute's Reflect and Kadaver's Disable. Thanks to our beefed up defense, we were able to withstand the onslaught of blows from Gyarados, as he too succumbed to his poisoning. Koga's match is completely up to RNG. What I mean by this is we need to rely on Shed Skin to keep us healthy, and I need to predict Coughing and Wheezing self-destructs with Protect. Honestly, I don't think this match is possible in our current conditions. Or any of Spewpa's conditions, but I'm not going to give up. Y'all, it happened again. A couple of videos ago, in my Can You Beat Pokemon Fire Red using only Cosmome, this glitch happened where my rival just refuses to fight me in Sylph Tower. I finally figured out why though. In Fire Red and Leaf Green, National Dex Pokemon can't evolve until you've beaten the Elite Four. These evolutions include things like Onix into Steelix, or in our case, index number 252 into 253, as the Kanto index numbers only go up to 151. So, in runs like this, where Scatterbug had to evolve into Spewpa, I put in a code to bypass the National Dex check, and this check also seems to bypass this fight as well. Interesting to know for future runs, but that's why the Sylph Tower fight is not in this video. Well, it doesn't matter anyway, as Giovanni's fight is also an RNG heavy fight, thanks to Nidorino's Poison Point ability. You know what? I'm just gonna make the plunge now so we have our best chances at the rest of the run. I'm over it. Okay, so here we are at level 100, and after some IV calculations on Showdown, it turns out we have perfect IVs in attack and speed, which is funny. We unfortunately don't have full EVs in special defense, as special defense EVs were hard to get in the early game, and our IV spread for other stats are horrendous, but this is what we have to work with. Let's see how far we can get from here. At level 100, we have the firepower we need to outmuscle Giovanni's Nidos, and our shed skin worked in our favor to bypass the poison point activations. As for Rhyhorn and Kanga, we did our typical poison powder and iron defense combo to keep us healthy and stole them out as well. Sabrina's Pokemon were no match for our tackles with their physically frail bodies. The only Pokemon who refused to go down was Venomoth. It was also funny because I misclicked on Mr. Mime and used poison powder on him when he was already poisoned, but it paid off as Sabrina used a full heal on it. Funny how things like that happen. After obtaining the leftovers item, I took on Koga again and we got super lucky in this fight. I played my cards right and got Koga to waste his Hyper Potion on his lead coughing and then protected when he went boom. Muck was a bit of a marathon between Minimize and Acid Armor, but because Koga already used his Hyper Potion, we eventually were able to whittle him down. Mind you, while all this exchanging of tackles and sludge is going on, we're being kept healthy by leftovers and some amazing shed skin activations. His second coughing dropped with 2 tackles, and then wheezing went down to a couple of tackles as well, but never went boom for some odd reason. I'm feeling a lot more confident after this victory, I gotta say. The test run against Blaine was interesting, as it turns out Blaine saves his full heals for either Rapidash or Arcanine. The good news is that he will waste both of his Hyper Potions on his Growlithe and Ponyta, which we can use to our advantage. The other good piece of news is that by alternating between Protect and Tackle, we can stall out the low PP of his Fire Blast. If I can get my hands on a PP max for Protect, I should be able to stall out his Pokemon long enough to win this fight. After maxing out the PP of Tackle and Protect, I played my cards perfectly against Blaine's team and was able to stall out all 20 of his Fire Blast PPs, and I even maxed out my defense with Iron Defense to withstand the onslaughts of stomps and takedowns once his Pokemon ran out of Fire Blast. Once they start using physical moves on me, I was able to heal off more than I was taking with leftovers, so I abused that by stalling some extra turns since I had some extra Protect PPs. With all of these plays, we were able to outmuscle Blaine's team and claim victory. I'm actually surprised we beat Giovanni on our first attempt. Before I went into the fight, I was thinking to myself, I'm probably going to need a trial run like I did with Blaine, so let me not record the first attempt, but I'm glad I didn't listen to myself, or else you all would have missed it. First of all, Giovanni sent out his Ace Rhyhorn second, which I don't think he's ever done before, so that was great because I wasn't sure if the Nidos were going to go down easily or not. I Poison Powdered and stalled them out with Iron Defenses, and then we landed a crit tackle on Dugtrio for a one-shot. Okay, pretty smooth. From there, it was just spamming tackles and praying our Shed Skin bypassed the Nido's Poison Point abilities, which we thankfully do, nabbing us a surprisingly easy victory on the 8th gym. Our rival fight, on the other hand, is going to be tough, because it's going to depend on if we can get Feather Dance by Pidgeot or not, but I think it's absolutely doable. The reason why we lost in this attempt was because of the attack drop making us too weak to handle Charizard, and I didn't get double Protect to finish the Charizard with poison damage. I can win this though, I can feel it. It took me quite a while, but I finally was able to get the double Protect on Charizard when I needed it, and on the first attempt when Charizard went down, we won the fight, but just barely. Execute has nothing to hit us with aside from Solar Beam, which we were able to take advantage of and heal up with leftovers, and then the next threat, Alakazam, came in. He disabled our tackle, and I knew if I poisoned him with Poison Powder, we'd get poisoned too because of Synchronize, but I took the risk, and after a couple of turns, Shed Skin activated to cure us. Unfortunately for us though, Alakazam dropped our special defense with Psychic before going down, and last was Gyarados, who set up the rain and hit fairly hard with Hydro Pump, but we can stall out the rain with Protect, and Gyarados goes down to the poison. If we won this fight, there's no doubt in my mind we could have beaten him back in Sylph Tower if he actually decided to fight us. I still don't know how we bypassed Lorelei's team. We were getting pelted by hail, frozen by ice beams, put to sleep by Lovely Kiss, and yet, through all of this, Zyrtec somehow managed to withstand all of it and heal off her status conditions with Shed Skin to put out one of the most narrow victories I've ever seen. Leftovers and Protect combo absolutely came in clutch during this fight. I don't know how I'm going to get past Bruno. Machamp is the real issue here. Aside from having a Citrus Berry to keep him healthy, he has Bulk Up to bypass our defense buffs, and Cross Chop, which has a high crit chance, which also bypasses our defense buffs. If I can get past Bruno though, I think that's where the run's gonna end, because as I said in the intro of this video, we have no foreseeable way of defeating Agatha. On my very next attempt, we managed to get past Machamp with some very well-timed protects, and luckily not getting critted by Cross Chop. Bruno was also a complete moron and just refused to use a full restore on Machamp, which made this fight even easier than I anticipated. Once he was down, Hitmonlee and his second Onix were slowly whittled down by Poison Powder. With this victory, we reached the end of the run. Is what I would have said until this absolute insanity happened. I don't know how, but we somehow managed to stall out all of Gengar's PP until he started to use Struggle on us, and we survived the onslaught of Toxics thanks to some Shed Skin activations. Once Gengar was down, we struggled the rest of Agatha's team to death, and she couldn't deal damage to us because she only has physical moves on her second Gengar and our defense was maxed out. I was recording this attempt to show you all it was impossible, but we wound up somehow outstalling her team on our first attempt. When I tell you all I did was laugh hysterically at this outcome, I mean my sides were killing me. How, Zyrtec? How? I'm not questioning it. I'm just gonna accept this blessing and do my best to finish this run now because I'm on cloud 9 right now. Lance was a bit of a marathon because of how bulky his Pokemon are, and his Outrage did some serious damage to us. We also got intimidated off the rip by Gyarados, so that didn't help, and on top of it all, he has Safeguard to protect him from Poison Powder, which I had to work around several times in this fight. Thankfully, despite all of these obstacles, we managed to play our cards right and finish the fight while paralyzed and just above red health. Maxed out defenses and leftovers is a really good strategy in Gen 3 it seems. I can't believe how far this little thing is getting. See, now I'm trying to figure out if this champion fight is possible or not. First of all, Pidgeot's an a-hole and spams Sand Attack and Feather Dance, which is horrible to begin with. Once he's down, Charizard is our next issue, who practically OHKOs us with Fire Blast. I can try and stall out his Fire Blast like I did with Blaine, but I'm gonna have to be one lucky SOB to do so by utilizing Fire Blast's inaccuracy. Is it possible? Technically. Will I be so lucky? We'll find out. So, I finally got a run where we got Charizard down thanks to him missing his third Fire Blast, and then we got a double Protect off. Once Charizard was down, Alakazam came in, and he has Reflect this time around, to make our tackles deal even less damage. Future Sight, which goes through Protect, and Psychic, which can lower our special defense, which it does here. We also unfortunately don't get a Shed Skin activation to cure us from poisoning thanks to Alakazam Synchronize. Is it still a possible fight? Yes. Will I get the desired outcome I'm looking for? Only a few more attempts will tell. A few more attempts was an understatement. I got to Alakazam about 5 more times and kept losing, but something felt right about this attempt, so I kept the camera rolling. This time around, I get a turn 1 Shed Skin activation against Alakazam, so we don't take a ton of residual damage from poison. After seeing the damage Psychic was dealing, I went into a defensive state and started going for Protects to try and get my health back. When Alakazam got to red, Morty healed him, and knowing he would place a poison right back on us, we get a turn 1 Shed Skin activation again, so again we don't take residual damage. Alakazam's Future Sight then proceeds to fail, a common error in Gen 3, which is lucky it did, as we would have lost if it landed. We get hit by another Psychic, and one more would be enough to take us out, but we crit Alakazam and the poison damage is enough to take him out. I never made it this far, so my heart was racing now. Executor came in, and I know it only has Giga Drain and Egg Bomb, both of which are doing practically nothing to us. Funnily enough, Executor kept trying to keep us asleep with Sleep Powder, but we kept healing it off with Shed Skin, and he just straight up kept missing. By the time Executor finally went down, we had healed back all of our damage from leftovers, and were ready to take on Morty's final Pokemon, Gyarados, with full health. Right away, I poisoned the Sea Serpent, as his Hydro Pump does surprisingly high damage. Thankfully, just like Charizard's Fire Blast, its inaccuracy can be stalled out with the rest of my Protects. We whittle him down with tackles and poison damage, and Morty has finally run out of full restores, which means Gyarados finally succumbs to its illness and goes down. With this victory, we finally registered a Spewpa into the Kanto Hall of Fame, and in far less attempts than I was anticipating, if I'm being honest. If you can't tell by the joy in my voice, this was by far one of my favorite challenges, as it was not only difficult, but it also forced me to use some strategy instead of mindlessly mashing the A button on a powerful attack or two. For our next impossible challenge, we're gonna find out if we can beat Pokemon Emerald using only a Poi Pole. So if you don't want to miss that video, be sure to subscribe and stay tuned. Also, be sure to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. In the comment section, I want to know what your favorite part of today's run was. Believe me, I have a lot of favorite parts from today's run. This has been your boy Rare Boy, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace!
Red, white, and blue, yeah, I love this place.
Excuse me, did you just watch this video? You must have if you made it this far into the video. And yet you haven't liked, commented, shared, or subscribed. The Rare Boy working very hard on these videos. Please do the man a favor.